Good evening, and welcome to another horrendous episode of Diatribes from the voice of Doom. Now here's your harbinger of horror, voice of Doom. I believe Laibach is from either Yugoslavia, somewhere in the Balkans. 80s industrial. A lot of inspiration in me. I'll let it go. Anyway. It was a big inspiration to me when I was getting experimental with my music. I had probably broken up with the New Wave band and started a more progressive New Wave band and decided that was too complicated to have 7-piece band. Horn section, all kinds of stuff, and it was just hard to get together and practice. And then just play covers, it seemed like a waste of time. So, I'm going to get into that with the history of music, but I started getting into primitive, minimalist, industrial, and composing stuff and all originals, and very left-wing anarchist stuff. I didn't like Reagan particularly. I didn't like Jerry Falwell. I didn't like the Pope particularly. And I thought that there was a lot of corruption in the government during the Reagan era. And there still is. Nothing's really changed. But I like that song. I'll be in trouble later for copyright laws because one day people will start watching my stuff and then they'll go, you can't be doing this. But when I was in college back in I think one of my teachers was Dante. It wasn't that long ago, but it was 1980s early, and I was taking computer science to fulfill one of my core requirements, and it was the most boring class I ever took in my life. The professor was absolutely torturous because he was facing the board and mumbling, and I couldn't understand anything he was saying. And it was basic computer science back in 1982. So we were using punch cards, and he was explaining something about a new technology that will be out soon called the floppy disk, and it could be used in PCs, which most people didn't have. Only a few people had PCs in 1982. And they could print out their thing, and they could cut and paste and do all kinds of great stuff, which I still had to use a typewriter. But the reason I bring this up is very important is because the one thing I did learn about computer science was to make a flowchart, and that I could understand. I cannot understand COBOL or Pascal or Ada or all these other languages, and I didn't care for BASIC. I did do a little HTML back in the 90s. I could do raw code for that, but that wasn't that hard. To say I like flowcharts is I like to see how things go. You have little shapes. If this happens, then you go this way. If this happens, you go this way. If this happens, you go this way. That's what they use in computers. Now let's do that for the macrocosm. because we have a lot of crap going on right now. We're about to blow up, so there's not a whole lot of time to talk about this on the internet, because that's going to be gone soon. A flowchart for, something as trivial as this so-called election that's coming up in 6 weeks. That's, one of the smallest things to worry about, because the U.S., what used to be government, is defunct, and no matter what they do, they will be ineffectual to do anything about anything. Except maybe blow up pipelines. I don't know. We'll get into that later. So let's look at the flow chart. They have an election and there's cheating all over the place, so the Dems naturally win. Then we go on like we're going on, slouching toward Gomorrah, but very fast slouch, like running. We're slouching, but we're kind of sprinting now toward the abyss. It's obvious. So the Dems win, we're done. Okay, let's just say that it's always been proven that the party that's out of power always takes over during the first 2 years of a president. So if a president's Republican, then the Dems take over. If he's a gopper, or if he's a Democrat, then the Republicans take over. Happens over and over again. So by natural political law, the goppers should win at least the House of Representatives, which means they're going to get to the bottom of everything that's happened in the last 2 years. Yeah. Now, let's just say the goppers actually take the Senate and the House, and they might have a little more clout. But they have to purge the leadership. I don't care how they do it. They can do it by just saying, we don't want you in charge anymore. Or they can do it in a more draconian way, but they got to get new leaders in the Republican Congress. And if they get to the bottom of everything, I tip my hat to them, because they'll get to the bottom of the most corrupt, insidiously, what can you use? What kind of words? The rot of the U.S. used to be government is so deep that it's going to be a big project to get to the bottom of anything. So they can start with this or start with that. So Republicans win. We see what happens. There's a very good chance that we'll just keep on slouching toward the abyss. Now, let's look at another flow chart. It's over in old Ukraine. Now, they have elections in provinces of Ukraine, and these people want to be Russians, and they obviously want to be Russians. And the U.S. is saying, or what used to be the U.S., the media is saying it's a corrupt election, and no matter what they do, it's going to be wrong, and they're going to say they want to be Russians, and it's going to be a sham election. As if what used to be the United States government has the power to say, the validity of other elections. Well, by international law, that's not allowed. I've heard that already. You can't just vote to be out of a country. All right, so they vote to be out of a country, just like in World War II, Sudetenland, what have you. Rhineland, who cares? Little snippets here and there, but now Ukraine wants their territory to stay in Ukraine, so they bomb what the Russians consider to be Russia. That's one part of the flow chart. You see how bad that can be? The other part of the flow chart is Russia, mobilizes 300,000 more troops and ups the ante on the destruction. So who knows what that will happen. Now, today we had an interesting incident that could be the end of the world, really, when you think about it, because basically Russia was shipping natural gas to Germany, and that's how they were making a lot of their money in order to, pay for the war. I don't know the right word. To finance their campaign of taking over bits and pieces of what used to be the Soviet Union. Now, someone blew up the pipeline that is financing Vlad the Mad. So people are perplexed because they know that it was sabotage and they don't know who did it. But they have an idea of who did it, but their idea, well, everybody has an idea. I mean, it could have been Ukrainians trying to stop the flow, which was going to put Europe in a way worse position than they were even 2 days ago. Way worse. And some people say it could have been Vlad, and that seems like they're saying that doesn't make any sense. And then some people like Poland are saying, thank you, United States, for blowing this up, but they're all wringing their hands. And did the United States blow it up to stop the flow when Petri Dish in February did say that he would stop the flow of natural gas if Vlad the Mad made any encroachments on Ukraine? So all the evidence kind of points to Petri Dish. Black Ops. Not on the books. Nothing you will find any paperwork on. If you want to find the paperwork, you go to Orangey and you take it out of his closet. Now, there's another flow chart of happiness in happiness land, and as things get more and more effed up because we have an environmental problem on our hands because there's natural gas spewing into the Baltic Sea. It's worse than any other environmental thing you could come up with. A nuclear power plant being blown up by Ukraine or blown up by Russia. This thing is just as bad with the natural gas going into the Baltic Sea, and they're all talking about Ukraine, and then the environment is being destroyed by the wokesters, and everybody knows it. Now, who sabotaged that pipeline? Because they're basically saying we don't care if people suffer because we want to, I don't know what. I thought they wanted to keep the war going, but who knows. Now, happiness. Is he going to want to take Taiwan while all this other confusion is going on? Perhaps. I mean, there's some people that say that he doesn't just want Taiwan, he wants to annex Japan and Korea completely, all under their umbrella. And by that time, he'll be able to take Malaysia, and he'll be able to take Indonesia, and he will make encroachments into Australia, which they already have done. So those are the flow charts of how things could go very, very bad over the next week or two. I don't see us having an election in November. I've been talking to my colleagues about mushroom clouds, and they still poo-poo the idea, and I say no, I think it's coming. And I've given you every reason to know why. So I will leave it at that. I just tied a whole bunch of things together. And oh, by the way, been watching the price of gas at these gas stations. There's Arco and there's Maverick, and they both have the same price all the time. Now there's lower prices, I'll admit that, but I've watched it go from $4.54 about a month ago to $4.89 in a week, in one jump, to $5.25 like about a week ago, and now it's at $5.45. And it just is a big jump. It's not 1 penny down each day. It's like 30-40 cents up. So it's gone up like almost $1 in the last 3 weeks. Now with this pipeline being gone, and what used to be the United States, which is now a desolate landmass, we'll have to somehow dig up some fossil fuels to send to Europe. Now, what do you think that's going to do to the price of gas? Think about it for just a second, if you have any kind of education. So I'll leave you with that. I think I gave you a lot of doom to think about, and I think everybody should be afraid, and everybody should hunker down and get stockpiling. So that's that. Take it for what it's worth. Enjoy the day.